We got a fun one for you. We brought our guy CK, Collin Kennedy, back on the show here on Unfair Sports, a Hog Media production presented by Sleeper. I am your boy, Jay. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening. Wherever podcasts are downloaded, listen to while you're here. Please wipe your feet, like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. So, on today's episode, we're going to have us some fun. We've got Collin Kennedy from Sooners Illustrated and 247, and we're not going to talk recruiting. Instead, we're going to dive into that Michigan game. You know, he made his first appearance there. We're going to talk about how that went down and what he saw. And then we'll wrap the show up. We'll dive into the Temple game and previewing that because there's a little bit more to it than most would expect. So we'll jump into it. Appreciate y'all pulling up. Let's just get right to it, baby. Let's talk to Collin Kennedy. We're going to preview this Temple game and all of that. So before we do that, shout out to Sleeper, sponsoring the channel. You ever heard of the Sleeper app? Here's a little secret. It's more than just a platform for season-long fantasy leagues. They got daily fantasy sports on there. Football, basketball, you name it. You could probably do it. This year, millions of users enjoy playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but the app offers so much more now, like live stats. You can see real-time updates and visualization of all the stats. Newsfeed, get lightning quick updates on your favorite players and teams, as well as a real-time chat. Engage with other users about individual plays and performances during the college football, NFL, as well as the NBA season. So, download the #1 sports app today and experience it for yourself. Use our promo code UNFAIR, and you will get a 100% match up to $100 on your first deposit. They're going to hook you up by using our promo code. So, see Sleeper's terms of use for details because terms and conditions do apply. Let's make it happen in the daily fantasy world. All right, what's good, everybody? Once again, we got the CK and J show. Having some fun here. We've got Collin Kennedy from 247. Brought him in to talk some ball. CK, talk to me, man. You made the last-minute drive to Norman for the game. I know you talked about that. You tweeted out or posted out, whatever the heck it's called nowadays. Tweeted it out. We're going to leave it there. We will not change. We will not conform. Then you got to do the post-game afterwards, which I know that feeling was just beyond electric. Now that it's settled, how'd you end up there, and how did you feel about that game? Because that was huge.
Yeah, listen, shout out to Mike Hauk and Eric Hollier, 2 members of the Oklahoma Athletics Sports Information Department. So basically the story goes quickly. We knew going into the Oklahoma-Michigan game that specifically for our site, the extra hands would certainly help. And I am not someone who attends games in Norman on a week-to-week basis. I haven't in multiple years because I lived away in Tennessee for a couple of years, but then also as the recruiting guy, you work Thursday night, Friday night games, get up the next day. You've been away from family and friends for a while, but you also got to work again that day. So usually I just stay away, stay down here in Texas, try to be present before I pick up work again, and then obviously let the folks in Norman take care of it, boots on the ground. But like I mentioned, we had gotten some goals in from corporate. The mustaches told us, hey, better buckle up. We're going to increase your numbers this month by a pretty penny. And so the thought was like, look, if I can get to this Oklahoma-Michigan game, we not only can make it pay off, but we've got a shot to hit some goals. And I told Oklahoma's SID crew, like, listen, I'm going to put in for a credential. That being said, if I can't get in for whatever reason, I totally get it. And they actually ended up denying me my credential. Ooh. Because, and again, I totally understood. They were like, listen, we have so many media members coming into town. From not just the Michigan beat, which is extensive, the national beat, the amount of attendees across the country coming into Norman for that Oklahoma game. I mean, it was nuts. And so I understood. Was I a little bit sad? Yeah. But then fast forward to that Saturday, I take my father-in-law out to breakfast early in the morning. I'm exhausted. I get home, put on the favorite pair of sweats, pour my cup of hot Joe, my little morning routine, start folding laundry with my wife before obviously getting ready to work that evening. And at 11:30 a.m., I got a call saying, hey, late cancellation by one of the Michigan beat reporters. If you can get here, like now, we'll get you in the press box. I picked up the laundry I was folding with my wife and threw it in the car. I didn't even know what it was. I wasn't sure what I was packing in that moment. Immediately chucked it, got in the shower, put on a polo and pants with an actual button, and floored it up I-35. Made it in record time, too, which speaks to almost the destiny nature of that weekend, and then was back at Oklahoma for a home game for the first time since 2021. It was awesome. You know, when I was a student at OU, Josh Calloway and I used to do the instant reaction videos together as students covering the team. And we got to do that on Owen Field for the first time in years. Josh and I, known each other for years. I met my wife at his wedding. We went to college with his wife, and the whole day, Oklahoma gets the victory. The place is electric. Could OU fans give me credit for Oklahoma winning whenever I show up for the first time in years? I'm not going to say yes, but I'm not going to debate you if you do propose that. That being said, it was great to be back in Norman and covering this team, man. It's fun right now.
I always think that that you probably did cause this, right? Right? You were being in attendance, something we haven't had since 2021, and since you've been gone, we had to change coaches. So I think I can see it. I kind of see the correlation.
I'm an unbiased member of the media. I do not affiliate myself with any one singular team's success or failures, but I did return to Norman for the first time in several years, and they arguably won one of the most meaningful games in Brent Venables' tenure. And the correlation there, or lack thereof, is totally up for interpretation.
Exactly. We'll let y'all debate that with yourselves, but I'm totally there with you on that. The good thing is you made it. You made it. We got the win.
I made it.
This was the second game where we all feel like Oklahoma was so physically imposing on the competition that it was like, who are these dudes? I don't think outside this one in Alabama, those two games made me feel like if this team can do that every week, there's no one that's going to beat them. It's crazy to even, I don't feel like it's crazy to believe that, but it's crazy just to think that, wait, Oklahoma for real is putting together a trench set of players that we've been dreaming of since Brent Venables left the first time.
Yeah. I thought, talking about it after the game and curious for your take, sitting in the stands, I thought there was an air of confidence, almost like a newfound level of buy-in from those players and the fans in the stands that hadn't been felt at Oklahoma in a little while. Now, there have been moments of impressive performances, but that game specifically to me felt like Oklahoma's fan base and the players on the field and the coaching staff from the get-go on a massive stage, they knew and felt like they were the better team throughout 4 quarters of play against a highly ranked foe and a very capable football team, by the way. And yes. I think that's a big deal. I mean, when they scored just before halftime, and I want to say that was the offensive drive that followed the Oklahoma defense stopping Michigan's offense, and they missed the field goal.
Yep.
And like that momentum, I remember watching Taylor Wine and some of Oklahoma's defensive players like turn to the crowd as they went into the tunnel and like go to fire them up, wave into the crowd. And that stadium erupted. And I turned to someone in the press box and said, you can tell everyone affiliated with Oklahoma right now feels like, I hate to say it, but like they're back to being the team that they should be. And I'm curious to feel like if you felt that momentum in the stands too.
The stands felt like, so this game, and I said this before the game went down to some folks, I anticipated this game to be just like the Tennessee game last year.
Yeah.
Going into it, it felt just like the Tennessee game because the fans were electric. The energy was there. As soon as the game got going, you felt like you are the better team. You should do it. Then the turnover started, but then the turnover started back, and then the play started feeling like it was deflating as each turnover returned back to where it did not belong. It felt that exact same electricity, because the Alabama game, and I don't think a lot of fans understood this, is that, or even recognize this, going into the Alabama game, nobody thought we was going to win that game. Fans didn't really think we were going to win. Players, they probably felt it, but they probably were like, I mean, it's Bama. They're having a really good year. They beat Georgia in a massive performance, and then Georgia goes and bullies Texas, right, twice in the season. And so you're like, all right, as long as we play hard, we need to make sure this score is respectable. That's our goal tonight. Be respectable. Now, I mean, I know some players are probably thinking, we were going to beat them, but cool. I'm glad you felt that way. Most of us was like, I just want the score to be respectable. So the energy going into that game wasn't as hyped. This one, Michigan, just like Tennessee, it felt like, we're going to go in here and we're going to kick their tail. And you felt it with everybody around, especially that first drive. When we marched down the field, first off, that 31-yard pass by John Mateer to Deion Burks, and everybody looked around and was like, oh, yeah, we got our quarterback. We got an offense. We've got something we ain't seen since Dylan Gabriel was here. We got that. And to me, the moment that catch was made on that fade, because he had some balls to throw it from where he did. He just kind of stepped back and just said, launch. And when he did that, everybody's entire interpretation of that game completely changed. You felt the electricity around after that.
Yeah, I want to talk about that opening drive and what I feel that meant to Oklahoma's performance the rest of the way, because I think there's a ton of deeper meaning to that first drive. But the other big overarching theme that I wanted to ask you about, when is the last time, and I can't come up with an answer, but also I just want to hear you speak to, you touch on it, not only the level of physicality that Oklahoma team displayed over 4 quarters. I mean, they beat the hell out of Michigan. Like I haven't felt like Oklahoma was overmatching physically an opponent like that in a long time. But then also just like outside of what was actually happening between the whistles, that feel of mental and physical toughness and the edge that they played with on both sides of the ball, that for me was palpable. Like you felt that Oklahoma team carry an air of swagger, aggression, and like they were having fun, but in a controlled, mean way. And that's just not something that we've seen very often in Norman. But that was very real on Saturday.
It was. And to your point, it's funny because I mentioned this on the live, and I've said this I've tried to reason this with fans, and I have an appreciation now for what Brent Venables has I guess you could say him and Schmitty has figured out, because it sounds like Schmitty is more pushing BV to calm down in some capacities, is that to play the brand of physical football we want to play, there will be collateral damage. You will unfortunately injure some of your own players because you're building your team up with the tolerance to be able to handle not only being pushed, but to deal said punishment. Good example in this one. We've knocked out a few Michigan players, right? Their top guard out the game. I think we saw like 2 more linemen shift out for a bit and come back from those injuries. Then you saw defensive players get trucked and leave. You saw a wide receiver get leveled and he walked around dizzy afterwards. That physicality, knock on wood, we didn't see nobody on our team actually, in theory, leave. Fasusi hurt his ankle, but he said he's fine. So I think someone rode on him. But
yeah, that
physicality we want to play, we have been showing it. And they've been showing it since Brent Venables has been here. I also think that's, I guess you could say, now that we're in the 4th year of this, Collin, we are in the 4th year of Brent Venables trying to instill that level of toughness on everybody on the roster. And now that we're playing with his recruits, his players, ones that have been in the system for 2-3 years, they built up the quote-unquote calluses to handle that level of physicality. And we're seeing more and more each week, week over week, big game over big game. They're pushing people around.
Yeah.
And so the Bama game was a great example. Tennessee, honestly, we were pushing them around in that game too. Like Tennessee was kind of in shambles in a lot of that game. We just kept giving the ball back at the wrong time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where you start to see it. And so I guess for me, the appreciation I'm having more and more for BV when I really think about this, and as you mentioned this on that first drive, when you start to see that our fear was this offensive line, we wanted to know what this line was going to look like. And they were able to handle that defensive line, even though it is still a quote-unquote shell of the first rounders that they had there last year.
Yeah.
They're still good players. They still had really good depth. We handled them. The pass protection was ridiculously great. We probably need to move better on the run, but it feels like that's kind of a it feels like it's it's happening like that because of the RPO. Right? It's like a after effect or just something of that nature, for lack of better terms, because we're trying to run so much RPO, the linemen aren't getting where they need to, or at least the push that you want. But we're pushing people around, and I am never been more excited. But for you, as you mentioned that on that drive, looking at it from the distance, because you got the full view, how did that look to you as they made that drive down? Because it was 12 plays, 75 yards, a 5-minute drive to start?
Yeah.
Hey, man, we ain't seen that in a while. Are you using the Sleeper app for daily fantasy football? If not, you are definitely missing out. They've got some of the best features out there in the game. So if you think you know football, then try your football knowledge and turn that into real money with the Sleeper app. So like right now, I'm looking at Saturday's action. We got Gunnar Stockton here. 205 yard, 45 passing yards. Joey Aguilar at 1.5 passing touchdowns. So the secret is you pick 2 or more players, you pick more or less on their stats, either going to get more yards or less. And like I'll go less on the Gunnar Stockton touchdown on the yards. I'll go more on Joey Aguilar getting something. Give me some Haynes King rushing action against Clemson. And then you put those picks in. You can pick them live, or you can even do them pre-game. And if you win, you can win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks hit. So use our promo code UNFAIR, and you will get 100% match up to $100 on your first deposit. Check them out. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details.
So this is what I want to talk about with that offensive drive. I don't mean this to be hyperbolic, but that first drive, they go down and score, and the way that they went about it, I sat up there and I went, they're going to win this game. Like, they're doing what they need to do to go win this game. And so here's what really stood out to me. Everyone's talking about John Mateer and the offensive line and some of these receivers. I want to talk about Ben Arbuckle for a second, because I think what we didn't talk about enough going into that game was that his game plan and approach was ultimately going to decide Oklahoma's ability to go win.
Mm-hmm.
John Mateer could be John Mateer, but if the right play call wasn't called against someone like Wink Martindale, guy that spent 19 years in the NFL, does it really matter? And Ben Arbuckle put on a little bit of a masterclass, man. So I thought his layered awareness within this game plan, Jay, was outstanding. And here's what I mean by that. Oklahoma's going into this game. It's a massive game. The jitters are going. Everyone might be a little bit nervous. They're playing against a vaunted Michigan front seven defensive front. Obviously, there are significant losses there, but Michigan recruits those positions at a very high level. The expectations for them were high. The expectations for this Oklahoma offense, relatively unknown. But on top of that, Jay, 4 out of 5 new starters on the offensive line. Ben Arbuckle knew that. He knew he had a core of backs that needed to get settled into the game, whether that's Jaden Knott still shaking the rust off from that fall camp injury, whether that's Torrey Blaylock, who probably shouldn't have played but did and definitely needed to get settled, or even like a Javonte Barnes, who maybe the confidence may have been a bit shaken at the start of the year when the social media stuff comes. I mean, obviously, I think we all know the deal there. And then look, like Jaren Kanak, get that guy involved, get him going. These receivers, basically what I'm trying to say is Ben Arbuckle knew that so many different layers of his offense needed to get comfortable in this game in order to then open up the playbook. So what did he do? From the jump, we're going to go a ton of empty sets. We're going to spread this Michigan defense out. We're going to go pre-snap motion, force them to basically declare early. And once we know that they're spread thin and we kind of have a sense of what they're getting ready to do, we're going to make them go one-on-one against John Mateer. And it worked. And it worked for a number of different reasons. Go +1 in the run game against a spread-thin defense. You're obviously going to like those looks.
Yep.
Then John is able to feed off of that momentum, and he's throwing the ball to Deion Burks. And like you saw it, the groove got going, right? But what I also loved about that, Jay, he made Michigan play against John Mateer. It started working. You saw that offense get downhill. And then what did he do? He went, all right, now let's go to the drop back passing game. Now let's let these offensive linemen set. Now that they've gotten comfortable, they've bashed helmets a little bit, and they're feeling a little bit. Then what did he do? Let's get this run game going. Now that we're into like the second quarter, let's get Torrey Blaylock out there and take some hits.
Yep.
Let's get Jaden Ott in here. Let's get Javonte Barnes in here and get him going. And once everything started running cohesively off of that first drive, there were miscues, there were mistakes, but they never really looked back, or at least they never really looked like the unit we saw a season ago.
Nope.
We can talk about a number of different players here on the show tonight, anyone that stood out to you, but I really wanted to start off the top with Oklahoma's offensive coordinator because I thought the approach and game plan, specifically from the first drive on, it was outstanding, it was aware, and it ultimately, in my opinion, helped Oklahoma win the game.
No, that's a very good point because I don't think we gave Ben Arbuckle enough flowers for the performance in this game. I don't think we did because it's easy to point out, like you said, it's easy to point out John Mateer being John Mateer and just taking the team, putting the boys on his back and just going because he can carry a team like that. He's shown he's built to do that. But if the play call isn't right, if the team isn't prepared for said play calls, then yeah, that stuff can look super dysfunctional. It looked very organized. It looked like it was where it's supposed to be. Even John's interception, like I was looking at Aaron Murray over there at, it was Snaps is what it used to be called, but he has a new channel or whatnot. And I think it's Mac and Murray, I think is what the show's called on YouTube, but former, Georgia quarterback. And he breaks down the play and he pointed out, and Gabe Eichert pointed this out too, and I've said this numerous times, that Mateer seems to throw the ball to spaces where the receiver's supposed to be rather than to directly to the player in a lot of situations, especially on some timing calls. And that interception felt like, similar to the Deion Burks one, the receiver is supposed to be here, but they went here. And, Will Huggins is a giant. I mean, I understand. He's like, 6'6", 6'7". He's a giant human being, so I get throwing it up for him to get it and making sure it goes over the linebacker's head, which, speaking of which, we threw a lot of passes across the middle. You don't usually see that with shorter quarterbacks. That's not a common thing. It's usually thrown out to the outside, hit them in flats. John's launching it across the middle. Like, Kyler was good at that. He was really good at throwing it across the middle, and Baker, for the most part, was as well. Mm-hmm. But you're seeing this a lot. I saw this with John a lot more in this game than I thought I would because Michigan's got some pretty big linebackers. And even with when Barham came back in, we still went at him. There was literally no fear in that. So, yeah.
The block by Kanik on Barham is...
It's so funny because I pointed that out on socials. And, of course, someone had to come back. Oh, well, he got bounced up. I'm like, I don't think you realized how that worked. When Kanik hit him, he may have bounced up, but literally Kanik just turned his body and took the dude completely out the play. That's what you want from a dude that likes to hit people. That's like his thing. His whole MO, his ethos in life is run through an MFer's face. That's really it. He's not here for the quote-unquote tackle. He's here to inflict pain. Kanik bounced perfectly to turn, and he's like, you ain't in the play no more, bro. You're done.
What did we talk about? So much of blocking is getting to your spot when you need to be there and springing the play loose the way you need to. And that's what he did. I mean, not all blocking has to be pancakes. But he came and arrived with authority where Barham was, and that was exactly the block that had to spring Mateer loose. And again, he held his own against a massive linebacker. Didn't just hold his own, like that pop right there. I mean, you felt it. That play, Javonte Barnes block on the Deion Burks kind of little motion pop. I mean, that block in the press box, I go, oh, like Javonte Barnes, Keontez Lewis laying down some blocks. I mean,
we looked good blocking in all of the quote unquote skills and exterior players on top of the line. Like, shout out Emmett Jones. They looked good in blocking at the receiver room. Shout out Joe John Finley. Kanik looked good at blocking. Even Huggins looked pretty good when he was out there. We looked like we cared a lot about the little details, more than just going out there and making a statement and making plays. Yeah. We really look like we care. And I appreciate that more than anything. You want your team to go out there and not only do some highlight-worthy stuff, you want them to show that they care about the little details that prevent you from making stupid mistakes to lose games. And granted, we had a few. You know, you throw an interception. Shout out to the defense for forcing a punt literally 3 plays later. That's a really good thing. And then you muff a punt that leads to a field goal. Yeah. It's okay. The defense did their job of forcing a -5 possession. Got to do better in that. I really think it's something with those lights. It's got to be, because it only happens at night. It's the weirdest thing. But I digress.
Yeah. Yeah, I you speak on the interception and stuff. I a testament to what you were talking about and what we were discussing earlier. I think that the interception and some of this stuff, the throws over the middle, deep inward breaking posts and whatever else, like, it's John Mateer's trust in Ben Arbuckle's system, trust in what he knows as a quarterback. I think that for Ben Arbuckle, again, I mean, 29-year-old calling plays against Wink Martindale. The guy graduated high school a year before me. We're the same age.
Yeah.
And he's calling as a 29-year-old in one of the biggest games in all of college football against Wink Martindale, one of the OGs of the Baltimore Ravens defense. That's nuts. That being said, John Mateer, Jay, you talked about him a little bit. The guy proved that he is capable of doing what he was brought to Norman to do.
Oh, gosh. He's that dude.
He's something. And I think for me, something that had to be solidified coming out of that game was whether or not John Mateer is who we thought he is. Mm-hmm. And I think that was shown. Now, do I think Mateer is perfect? No. Is there a lot of growth still left on his plate? Absolutely. Putting some better touch on the ball, things of that nature, missing some throws, but that's to be expected. And Jake, again, that's part of the reason why I mentioned here on the show, like, some of the stuff that is there, it's not ruling out a potential return to Oklahoma, in my opinion. You saw those glimpses where it's like, hey, man,
I would like to have him back one more year, dog. I would, but
he was the guy. And it's going to continue as well, the ongoing discussion of what does the NFL think of this dude? Because there's no doubt right now he's one of the most captivating players in college football. I would be curious to know what you thought about his specific performance on the biggest stage.
He did exactly what you paid him and you fended off North Carolina and Miami and other schools for. He came in here, put the team on his back, and said, I'm going to win these games. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, we'll talk about this in a bit. The coach over at Temple, Casey Keller, had some statements of he's not going to be able to do that much, that often, and be successful, in which we just literally had Diego Pavia do it last year, and he's doing it again. Like, literally, Diego Pavia's game is taking more hits than John Mateer, and I think John Mateer is actually thicker as a human being, than Diego Pavia. Right. Yeah. I'm just saying. I think he's a bigger dude. You paid this man to come here, lead this team, quickly get trust with your wide receivers, your running backs, your offensive line. because we know you have trust in your offensive coordinator and your quarterback coach. You got Coach Kuz, who deserves a lot of props for not only Mateer but Cam Ward helping mold them into the quarterbacks they are. Got to respect that, right? He's living to the expectations that I had for him, and I had lofty ones. I looked at him. I watched him play a lot of the watch. I went back and watched those games. I hit up somebody that I know, and they were able to get me some all 22 for some of those games. So I went and looked. I wanted to watch him. I don't want to hear announcers talking. I just want to see you run plays. Yeah. And in a lot of those games, he looked like the best dude on the field. He had his moments where, there was struggle, but you could tell that around him, everything still also wasn't making it that much easier, but overall he looked like the best dude on the field. And so when he came, I'm like, all right, you're going to have to do that. And the game that I said he has to do that is going to be Michigan. This was the one I said that if he does this in Michigan, we're good. Mm-hmm. That will be the statement that will tell everybody we need to. His performance in this game was the most important to me of any game this season, because now it's the arrival. Now teams are for real going to have to we got to watch out for this guy. And so I was listening to Todd McShay go through preseason about him, and then after this game, and he kept saying he's the most competitive MFer he's probably seen in a long time. And he just talked about just glowingly about him, and how now NFL scouts, even with his size, which he's right around the height of Caleb Williams, but a little bit bigger in size, and Baker a little bit bigger than Baker. Some NFL teams, the height is a question because shorter quarterbacks don't throw over the middle. That's just kind of the thing. Drew Brees was a different guy when it came to that, because Drew was all about timing. He literally calculated how long you're supposed to be there. He threw it, and he knew if you're there, you're catching it. If not, it's probably going to get picked. In which that's kind of a thing I want Sooner fans to understand and be prepared for. You're probably going to see him throw picks in a lot of situations where he's going to push it to a spot where he expects his receiver to be. And if they pull up, a la the Kanik trick play, it felt like Kanik kind of slowed himself down when he should have just kept going full speed. He's going to put it in those spots that he hopes that they will be in. In some situations, it's going to end up being a pick. It's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to be a tip pass that he didn't get. Shout out Satania for knocking another one out. Yeah, I think that was more John than anything. That was a heck of a play. And then the next play, he catches that deep pass on the sideline. Oh, it was there was so much, dude. On a scramble. Look, he broke that tackle. That felt like, what was that, Baker against the 49ers.
The side-by-sides of that clip with Mateer to Satania, and then a play that Baker made in an Oklahoma uniform.
Against Tennessee. Yeah.
They're almost parallel.
It's terrifying.
It's crazy.
And I still have Mateer comparison-wise to Jalen Hurts. I've always thought he's more of a Jalen Hurts that throws a little bit better. That's where I've always had the comparison. But he's starting to get more and more of the Baker stuff. The accuracy's there. So I'm slowly conforming to other people's thoughts around Baker, because Baker was just so freaking accurate. But to your question, and one I want to pose to you, John, he performed the way, like I said, I hoped that he would in this game. Now, the question I have is, can John continue at this rate and everyone feel comfortable with it?
Yeah, that's what literally everyone is asking. So it's been funny throughout the week, and I mean immediately in the press conference as well, but throughout the week, the question of, is Oklahoma really going to run John Mateer 19 times? Do they have to run John Mateer 19 times to win games? That has been thrown around, specifically my direction, almost endlessly. The amount of Texas Longhorns fans that I know who have been discussing Oklahoma's decisions running the ball with John Mateer this week, fascinating. I did a radio show in Austin this week, and multiple questions by not just Texas fans, A&M fans, so many SEC fan bases want to know, can John Mateer really run the ball nearly 20 times a game and stay at that level of play / stay healthy? But also, like, is that the winning formula? Is that what Oklahoma legitimately has to do to go win games? It kind of does help me transition to anything else that stood out for you within the offense. And there are a lot of angles that I would love to cover, from the offensive line to some of these receivers, to because the Michigan game provided so much in terms of individual performances and whatever else. What I would say is it comes back to that awareness that I was talking about earlier, right? They talked about after the game, Oklahoma was going to do whatever it possibly had to do to win that game.
Yep.
They knew the magnitude of that game. They also knew the circumstances in the situation within that game, right? Everything I talked about within the health of the backs, the offensive line, the Michigan defense, the advantages of going +1, but then also like the stakes. And when the stakes are high, the stage is massive, and pretty much everything's on the line.
Yep.
Who better to trust than your guy? And your guy who you know can do it. I mean, this is stuff that he was doing at Washington State. Like, I'm not all that shocked by it. Now, the notion that Oklahoma's going to have to run the ball with John Mateer 20 times, like in the Temple game, come on. Like, come on, guys. But yeah. I also think it's very fair to realistically say, okay, well, now that Oklahoma got through that game and they did what they needed to do through John Mateer's legs to go win, these running backs better step up. Like, hey, we'll talk about it more in a second with the
Check
Temple
the rest
preview.
off. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit, but that I think that they can uphold that to a degree, not to that degree, but the Oklahoma run game is going to incorporate quarterback run. That's a fact.
Yep.
But they also have other avenues that they can take. That was clear on Saturday. And so within that offensive approach, some of these other players, like, tell me, man, like, who are you watching on that offense to be like, man, this looks completely different compared to last year?
It's funny. You can tell just how thirsty we really are for offensive play as we've gone over 30 minutes to start the show talking about the offense in that game. And it just tell you how bad it was last year, man. It's hilarious when I think about it. I'm like, dude, we really started the show off 30 minutes and just talking about Ben Arbuckle, John Mateer, some plays, offense, because this is what we knew you were going to need in order to take this Brent Venables defense to the next level. I mentioned it before that I felt like this defense this year is going to be statistically better than last year because the offense is going to be the reason why. And case in point, from Mateer, Deion Burks feels like he's now the investment that we were hoping for. He gave you 7 catches, 101 yards. He gave you a touchdown. He gave you a fade route where you like, ooh.
He made a couple of plays in that game.
Yes. He made a couple of plays. You were just like, oh, this is why we got you last year. This is why we chased you down out of the portal from Purdue. This is why we said, nah, we want you. And the fact that you said, you know what, no, I want to come back because I feel like I didn't leave Oklahoma back at least enough from what I took from them when I first came. I want to give back more as a player. And it's like, all right, you've sold my heart too, dog. Like, I love you too, man. But you got that. And so I'd say that wide receiver room in which now, truth be told, Emmett Jones is my dude. I thoroughly enjoy his capabilities. I need one of his recruits to also pop off like these transfers have. Now, I know his recruiting extends to the transfer portal too, but I need to see one of his young pups pop, which I expect. I expect either Kearney or Elijah Thomas to be both, if not one of them being that dude. But no, the wide receiver room, I was thoroughly impressed. Keontae Lewis.
I love Keontae.
Going back through the story of him, man, and seeing how UCLA, Chip Kelly bounces, goes to Wisconsin, that coach gets fired, and they bring in Fickle, and he no longer is his dude, so he slowly falls out of the depth chart, and he decides to say, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself, and I'm going to go play at, Southern Illinois. Go play in FCS. Cooks, gets his confidence back, and now he's like, all right, I'm back in big boy ball in SEC. What can I do? He looked good against Michigan. He blocked, which is what I love most about Emmett Jones, is that he likes his wide receivers block very well. And we're catching passes again, dog. Our offense. Yeah. We've got an offense that now rivals some of the tops in the country. Thank goodness.
There's a level of assuredness when Keontae Lewis is targeted that, I mean, he almost feels like a safety blanket. Yes. And between the couple of plays he made in the Illinois State game where like they threw him the ball over the middle in the end zone, and you had that sense of like, oh, he's going to catch this.
Yep. No concerns.
I'm not walking away from either of those performances taking that for granted for him. That guy played at SIU last year, and he's one of the guys right now on Oklahoma's football team where when he gets thrown the ball, you're almost like, oh, he's gonna catch this. That's crazy. Speaking of crazy, here's my top takeaway. And then we'll talk about the defense. We'll be done. I promise with the offense. Here's the craziest thing for me. 5 to 6 years ago, Michael Fasusi is not playing football. Okay? He is moving to the States with his family in 2019.
Yeah.
And he is Googling American football. And he is saying to himself, I could probably do this. Now, he still had to learn the English language to know all of these different play calls. So he learned not just football, how to say football words and other simple words as he grew up in this game. I mean, every natural ability, God-given talent you could imagine. But he was still so incredibly raw coming out of high school. And freak show athletic ability, natural strength that still needed to be built out, but it was there. He gets on campus as the number one offensive tackle in a historic offensive line cycle. 9 5-stars in his class, 8 of them being offensive tackles. He's number one. And yet you still were like, but he's going to need a little bit of time to bake. I mean, he's still got stuff that he's got to work through. I mean, like genuinely, I think he would tell you he still had to learn, even at that age, some English words.
Which is crazy to think.
He gets to Oklahoma's campus. He goes through the offseason, and as we know, he had an incident in fall camp, a scary incident with heat exhaustion. And he ends up not even playing in the Illinois State game. So his first game as a true freshman, someone who has really barely even played or familiarized himself with the sport of football, moved to the States like a few years ago. He's debuting as a first-year left tackle against Michigan. And he whooped ass. I don't know how else to say it. Like, literally, given the context, I was shocked, and I didn't think that kid could surprise me anymore.
He took it to another level with that. He really did.
That's crazy, man. Like, he didn't even have the Illinois State game as a warm-up. That first drive, he's lining up against the likes of Derek Moore and TJ Guy. And, y'all, I'm watching his pass pro reps and stuff with folks in the personnel space. 2 separate ones. And I'm like, hey, watch this with me live so I know I'm not, like, hyperbole. Like, I'm not overemphasizing what he just did here. And they're watching, and I want to say it's like the 3rd or 4th clip of the cut-up that he, like, fires his outside hand and jolts a Michigan defensive end. And we're sitting there like, yeah, man, like, this kid is different. We know his performance against Michigan was good, but I just wanted to reemphasize, he's not supposed to do that, okay? He's not even really supposed to be playing. Because anyone else in his situation, that's an improbable outcome. The fact he went and did that against Michigan, considering the context and the journey to it, crazy.
It's
crazy what he did.
Wild to see it. And like you said, he's going up against some pretty good defensive linemen. And not even getting the warm-up. And we all know Bill Bedenbaugh doesn't trust freshmen like that quickly, unless you're able to really know the whole borderline, know the entire line. But his talent is just so remarkable that you just can't deny it. You kind of be like, kind of got to put you out there. I ain't got no choice.
Yeah.
He calls it. And then, he's got a position that he's locked up. And if he makes it, he'll be here 3 years. That's as most as you're going to get out that kid, unfortunately. He's not going to do the 4. He didn't have to. Knock on wood. He's so talented. He's first round. He's already put himself on the trajectory for that as long as he keeps balling. But no, speaking of freshmen, we got to talk defense.
Yep.
We have to talk defense.
Yeah.
Because on the defensive side of the ball, and I've been singing his praises. I saw the praises singing for him in camp. I sung his praises when he was a recruit. And I told people, man, I don't feel like this kid's a 3-star. He definitely should be a 4. He moved up in 4 in some places. Collin Guillory's a dog, man. Like, I wasn't prepared. If there was a player that I was not ready to do the things that he did, it was him. I knew that he was going to come in and challenge at corner. The unfortunate circumstance with Eli Bowen gives him the opportunity to really run reps. And when Eli gets back healthy, it's going to be tough to get this kid off the field. But he walks in there and says, I give me the best. I was talking to a parent about this. They told me it was okay if I mentioned this, that the rumbles around practice with him was, I want the best player. Give me Deion Burks. Give me Zion Kearney. Give me Keontez Lewis. No. I don't want the young freshmen like me. Give me the dudes that are starting right now. Give me Isaiah Satania. He's like, that's how I get better. And I'm just like, what? That is I got confidence in me. And if I get cooked, which we saw in some of those little highlights that you put out, and some of those you guys put out, then the beat when y'all were there, we saw him lose a couple reps here or there. Didn't mean much. He goes into this game, gets targeted. I think Brody loves to put out there, he got targeted 8 times in his calculations and only gave up 1 catch. Teams wanted to pick on him. Illinois State picked on him. He got the pass interference deal. Made sense. Veteran move, good, smart.
Yep.
But he recognized that, okay, they're playing this game. Let me do this in a smarter way. So he kept doing it. So as they kept coming after him, he kept making it harder and harder. At some point, they're going to realize, okay, we can't throw this dude side of the ball no more, because eventually he's going to get, and this is not saying this in a disrespectful way, so don't take this way, people. But when he wises up and starts taking interceptions on top of the knockdowns, then nobody can throw this side of the ball anymore. It's literally like he's literally put them on Guillory Island. Like, it's like, no, you're not throwing them outside the ball, dog. That's what I see. And it's crazy to see that. But the defense is everything we drove over more.
So, Cortland, I am incredibly proud of that kid. He and I got to know each other well over the course of the recruiting process.
Mm-hmm.
And I could make you an argument. He is one of the best defensive backs I have ever seen, it specifically playing with an extreme level of controlled aggression. I have never seen a layer of maturity like his to playing reckless. I don't even know how to describe it. The guy is like, here's what I'm trying to vocalize. You ready?
Yep.
We would go to combines and Cortland would find the 5-star wide receiver in attendance. And not only would he wait until that player was up, he would try to fight that kid off the line of scrimmage. But when he's going through the rep in between the whistle, it literally looks like a bar fight. Outside of it, if the receiver gets mad and tries to fight Cortland, I still do not understand how he does this. Cortland would never be the guy to like throw a hook or do too much. He just wanted to know that he was in your head. He wanted to know that like he's being a pest and people probably are mad at him because he loves that. And your ability to do that as a corner, there's a lot of layers to that. Not only your ability to do that effectively and not hurt your team, but never let it go over the top and yet still have that physical element to your game. That is so hard to do. Like that balance is so hard to strike. And in the Michigan game specifically, I remember Michigan is down in the north end zone and he gets tied up with Donovan McCulley. You remember this play?
Yes.
It was the play where off the line, both those guys fire their hands and neither one wants to let go because they don't want the other one to know I'm willing to cede here. They both want to fight. Bryce throws the ball that direction over their heads. Everyone's waiting to see if it's a flag, but it isn't one. You want to know why? Because Donovan McCulley was trying to fight Cortland, just like Cortland was. And because he was in Donovan McCulley's head and then just walked away from it after that play, because it's really easy for a true freshman in that situation to want to try and throw a hook. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
He walked away from it. And in that moment, no flag. Donovan McCulley is clearly frustrated with this freshman. And yet Cortland did not give in to the emotion of that moment. I turned to someone in the press box and I said, that kid is different. That kid is different, man. And
he's like the younger sibling that basically hits you with the I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. And really mom, I never touched him. I was just close to them.
He never takes it too far, but man, he's annoying sometimes to deal with. And it's like, is that not the best trait to have as a corner, that younger sibling syndrome, if you know how to use it? But my last thought on him is, I said it in the post game, this kid keeps getting tested and he keeps passing tests. He may have an A in the class at this point. And it's like, if Devin Jordan is starting this week opposite of him, I'm not going to blame Temple one bit for going that way instead of Cortland's direction.
Yep.
That would be my perception of it. For me, the thoughts that I wanted to get from you, the two guys that I thoroughly enjoyed watching, Owen Heineke and Kendall Daniels.
Oh, yep. And I was about to ask you about Kendall Daniels. He was the name I wanted to pick your brain on as well, because I was told by so many Oklahoma State fans that, oh, you guys are going to have fun with him. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Oh, he gave up on us. He blah, blah, blah. This, that, and the other. I'm like, okay. Well, we'll see. He looks and feels like he owns that defense now. Like, I know he owns shares at the University of Michigan in their football team. Like, that hit, it was like, I now call him Brick because I think he killed a guy. Yeah. The way he hit him. And it was, well, the funny part is CBS Sports posted this on their social, and I kind of feel bad for Haynes on this one, Justice Haynes for this, while at the same time it's hilarious. But he was pissed. Yeah. After he took that shot, they literally had the camera following him, and you could see him like, get away from me. Like, he was just hot. Because no matter how hard they try to block that dude, he got right around them quickly and destroyed. You could see the soul come out of him from that hit. Man, I am thoroughly impressed with how quickly him and Guillory has grasped BV's defense. Yeah. Being the two new guys like that. Because that's the one thing we know. And of course, Owen Heineke has been the one that jumped, and BV said he jumps in the lines when he ain't supposed to, and he's very frustrating, while at the same time you like the ambition and, you know, the want to so badly out of him. But Kendall Daniels walking in here, going to a completely different defense, because he was with Jim Knowles' defense first.
Yeah.
Goes from there into a Derek Mason, and then whoever they had recently as DC. I think he's had this. I think this is his fourth DC, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
I believe Oklahoma State went through. Yeah, I think so. I believe he was part of Knowles last year.
Nard. You know who I'm talking about? Nardu, the Oklahoma State defensive coordinator.
Yes.
They hired him from a lower level of ball. And I can't remember exactly, but I can picture his name. I think it starts with an N.
I'm gonna go look. I gotta look this up now because it's gonna kill me. Joe Bob Clements is one of the co-DCs, and Brian Nardo.
That's who I'm thinking of.
That is who it was.
Yes.
Okay, so he wasn't. So Daniels did not have Knowles. He was with Derek Mason. Was the first year. Was the Derek Mason one. So he did not get Knowles. I was wondering if he had Knowles or not. Well, actually, hold a second.
I could have sworn. I thought he played for Knowles.
I thought he did too. I thought he played his freshman year with Knowles. But I may be mistaken. Let me see. Kendall Daniels, he was a redshirt freshman with Derek Mason. So he was a true freshman in 21 with Jim Knowles. So, yes, he was underneath Knowles. So, yeah, I was right. Knowles, Derek Mason 2 years, Nardo, and now Brent Venable. So going through that many DCs is tough. Different types, different styles, even though I think Knowles is probably closer to BV, so he's probably feeling a lot more comfortable like his freshman year in comparison, hence why Oklahoma, made the attempt for Knowles. But man, his grasp and his ability to do it, he's still got things to work on, but overall, I feel like he's taking ownership of that defense.
This was my thing with it, right? There obviously was the play with Justice Haynes. I feel like that may have been a misblocking assignment because that's probably why Haynes was so upset.
Yep.
Kendall Daniels capitalizing on that, certainly not going to fault him. But I'm not even sure those are the plays that speak to his ability. There is a play where he's roughly 12 yards of depth, nearly playing safety. And Michigan throws out in the flat, and he covers 12 or 14 yards with what felt like 2 or 3 dribbles. I mean, you know how you watch a point guard go from nearly half court to the rack in like Giannis 2 dribbles of the basketball? That's what it felt like. I was like, are you serious? And then, Jay, the other play that he made that I had to turn to someone sitting next to me and be like, he's not supposed to do this. He had a play in coverage. I want to say a tight end is over the top of him on the right side of the field. And Bryce Underwood, I want to say, is rolling out and throws the ball. And he turns his back to the ball and goes and covers that ground to go meet that tight end. And I want to say the play ends up being incomplete. But I just remember him in coverage turning his back to the ball and running and getting within space. And I'm like, guys, he's 6'5", 240. He's not supposed to do that.
There should be laws against that.
Physically, that's not supposed to happen, what he's doing on the field right now. And he kept doing it. Freak of nature, man. And he plays with an intensity, an edge, a level of physicality. And just the fact that he's able to harness that in every layer of his game. We've talked about it, man. He's the perfect fit for the cheetah position in Brent's defense. And he's making them markedly better. Now, the other layer to this with Kendall Daniels that I then want to kick it to you on.
Yeah.
Kendall is obviously part linebacker, right? But he's part safety, part nickel defender, whatever you want to call it. So I thought what was really cool, I always like to catch in some of these games whenever Oklahoma's defensive unit rolls out different package looks. In this game specifically, they went to a dime package where there was only one true inside linebacker on the field. And it was, if you'll remember, you were talking about it on this show. There was Peyton Bowen, RSJ, Reggie Powers, Kendall Daniels, the corners. They had all of their freak shows out there.
Yes.
And they had one true inside linebacker in dime package. If you would have told me 2 months ago that in a dime look with all those freak shows on the field, the only inside linebacker on the field with them would be Owen Heineke, I'd have laughed you out of the room.
Yep.
I'm like, do you know Kip Lewis plays football at Oklahoma? You know?
And we've seen Kip.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy what Owen Heineke was doing. He was slipping blocks, making plays in the backfield. He's playing right now well above what he should be in reality. And if he is going to play like that every game, I certainly do not have that expectation for him. That feels unfair. But if he's going to be that caliber of linebacker in a game where I thought in that specific game, Kip Lewis and Kobe McKenzie played well as well. I thought Sammy had his moments too.
He did.
But Owen Heineke, it's not just what he's doing. The level of trust that they have, he should not be the only inside linebacker in dime package with all those guys. And he is. And it's like he balled out, arguably had the game of his life. And now I think we're getting ready to see him play a much larger role than we anticipated for the remainder of the 2025 season.
As you say that, it's funny because I had talked about this post game on the live that the one thing that, and this is a shout out to Brent Venables, the one big appreciation I've had out of Brent Venables, and I feel like really jumps out about his defenses has been this. In critical moments, including in this game, fourth quarter, 21-13, there's moments where late in the fourth, you'll see Sammy Mosigo and Owen Heineke out there linebacker.
Yeah.
You saw that last year in the Bama game where you would see Sammy with Kobe McKenzie. It's like, wait, where's Stutzman? Where's Kip? Why aren't we putting our two best guys in this third down that is probably a short yardage play that's critical? We need no. BV has instilled a trust with these players that he is willing to put them out there in those circumstances to where they will get that experience and be like, I know what to do in this moment. And that is a level of preparation I have to applaud. Because I was watching, I'm looking, I'm like, I'm hitting Coop. I'm like, Coop. Owen and Sammy's out there. That's third down. That's crazy. Wouldn't you want Kip? That is, and I noticed it last year and seeing it again this year. I'm like, oh man, we're doing it. We're doing it right.
That's another takeaway that I don't think people can overlook. I need to emphasize this. If you go back and watch that Michigan game and you put this in as your lens, you come away from that game thinking the depth on that defense is genuinely stupid. Like, what are you talking about? That they can basically go several players deep, one caliber guys, and play to that level. Just like you're talking about, it's like the second defensive drive for Oklahoma, and Sammy and Owen are in at linebacker. And I turned to someone and was like, what's going on right now?
What is this?
The first drive, Kobe McKenzie blew somebody up. Kip was flying around. Those linebackers were playing well together, that tandem. And then they put Sammy and Owen in there right away. And I'm like, this feels a little interesting to be nice. And then it was like the Owen Heineke show. I got a call from someone. You'll enjoy this. I got a call from somebody who I love to talk ball with. This guy watches a ton of tape across the country. And he told me, he was like, hey, man, I would love to see Sammy Omosigho get more snaps at Oklahoma because that kid's got ability.
Yep.
They have a ridiculous amount of depth on that side of the ball. They all play like starting caliber players. There's obviously variance there. Don't get me twisted, but it's like that's not supposed to be a thing.
Yeah.
And it very much is, and it very much impacts the game plan of the opposing team. I mean, this was one of my takeaways for me. It's like, I thought Michigan's play calling in that game was kind of awful. I was like, what are they doing in some moments? But why I say that, Jay, I thought a lot of their in-game approach had a lot to do with that front seven in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
I thought changed. Michigan in that game tried to run in between the tackles a couple of times And they quickly were like, oh, they're 4 deep at defensive tackle and defensive end and linebacker. We can't run or throw over the middle against these guys. But we're also terrified of our freshman quarterback sitting back in the pocket and getting attacked by these dudes. Do we throw in the flat on 3rd and 9? And I'm like, I guess, but what are you like? Try to win the game.
Right. That's not a win the game strategy.
Right. But I think that this Oklahoma defense legitimately like made Michigan rethink the approach there. A defensive line was awesome. We talked about the corners, safeties.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on, but
looking at the snaps is what jumped out. Like, so Owen had 23 snaps, Sammy had 16, and of course Kip and Kobe had 36, right? They had the lion's share with Peyton Bowen. Shout out to Peyton Bowen, 39 snaps with Courtney. They're 2 dudes that didn't come off the field.
He's back-to-back weeks of good play.
Yeah, he's taking that Billy Bowman role seriously. Like, he's taking it seriously. I'm going to be the leader of the secondary, even though Robert Spears Jennings is supposed to be that dude too.
Yeah,
I feel like he's taking it seriously.
He's got growth. I mean, him and RSJ kind of got caught up in some stuff on that Michigan run for a touchdown. But by the way, Jay, like, that's the only touchdown allowed by Oklahoma's defense in this season.
One. And I thought Michigan was going to, because Michigan, like you said, their offensive strategy was weird, but I got it. You lose Klein, that big tight end, messed up ankle. It felt like, to me, as they were starting the game, they were trying to make the decision of, all right, let's see what this defense is. If the defense isn't as strong or as explosive, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put Klein in the game. We'll let him play. We're going to take our time. But when they got that first drive, they're like, oh no, send more linemen out. We need to get Bryce more protection instead of trying to, like, we need more linemen to run the run. We can't just run the ball. We have to have more linemen to do that. We forced them to change every single thing that they want to do in this game. And I don't blame Chip Lindsey. You have a true freshman. You want to be careful in that game because he could have turned the ball over a lot more.
Yeah.
In a lot of those circumstances.
Someone told me that the last time a Chip Lindsey offense faced Brent Venables, Lindsey's offense gave up 11 sacks.
Jesus Christ.
I haven't verified that stat personally.
Wait, wow.
If that's true, then I can't blame Chip one bit for what took place on Saturday night. And I thought it spoke volumes that on the first drive, Michigan's running sets of 7 to 8 offensive linemen on the field at one time because they wanted to establish the run that quickly in a hurry. They knew the value of that. And yet there were moments where they would run into the teeth of the defense. Something I've noticed as a trend over the first 2 weeks of the season, Jay, is every time I check the run stuffed stat on Stat Broadcast, which is it a perfect stat? No. Does Stat Broadcast usually do a decent job of getting you a metric of like, here's how many run attempts were given in 2 yards to go or less for the first down or the touchdown, and here's how many of them converted or stopped? I think Oklahoma's defense is pretty much like batting 1,000 in those situations, which is crazy. But like
that is. So the quarterback in that game was Jarrett Stidham at Auburn. Austin Bryant for Clemson had 4 sacks. See, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sacks, dog. Wow.
So now you think about it, right?
Now I think about it. Christian Wilkins, 1.5 sacks. Dorian O'Daniel, 1.5 sacks. Austin Bryant had 4 sacks in that game, dude. And this is the funny part. The score was 14-6. Okay. And Clemson turned the ball over twice.
Hey, man.
Gus Malzahn couldn't do it.
I can't blame you. I can't blame him, man. like.
Nope. He knew what was coming. And the funny thing is BV probably did too. He looked, he's like, Jerry Stidham, he can't run like Bryce. But I bet you they're not going to try to run Bryce much. Yeah, let's put him to work. Yeah. Let's treat him like we did Jared. And yeah, they probably said, we got to blocking. Make sure he has good protection. Wow, dog. I didn't realize that. That is stat of the night. Yeah. Okay. Temple. Why not, right? We're an hour in. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. CK, all right. We got this Temple game. And I wanted to ask you about this because, as we know, little shade's been tossed. Temple put out a little bit of, a little picture thing out there. A little flyer they got a tornado in the background, for Oklahoma. So, even though it's kind of weird that they did that to us, it's okay. But then they throw Baker's mugshot right next to the pickup truck. Little bit, little shade. You're throwing a little shade out there. Get it. The hot mic situation happened where the media members were heard asking, basically a question everybody else is asking, are they going to even have fans there, really? I mean, I get it. I get why, they felt that was disrespectful. And, KC Killer felt the need to make his comments. He went on the Oklahoma Breakdown recently and talked about this game and how he wants his players to feel like they need to be unrealistic about this because...
That wasn't me, Coach. Just know that.
It was not Collin. He was not there. So we will
send somebody to my house.
Do not send anybody to his house. But I ask you this one. First 2 games, 97 points. They did what you're supposed to do against opponents. You win the game 42 something. You win the next one 55 to something. But the big thing is you handle business like you're supposed to. Can KC Killer come out here and give us another Kurt Cignetti type performance? Older coach.
Yeah.
He's in his 60s. I think he's 66 to be exact. Just turned 66 in July. Older coach. Comes into Temple, and they look like a different team. Are we seeing a situation where he could pull that off throughout the year?
I struggle to see a world where Temple goes on a run equal of that of Indiana's, where you go on a Cinderella story venture to the playoff. Obviously, I think what you're really asking is, can Temple become a team that, let's put it this way, can Temple become a resume booster for Oklahoma? Could it be that kind of year for them?
Yes.
Or is this another cakewalk game? So
kind of like, what was it? Arkansas State and Tulane I think it was at 23. Both of them were 8 win and a 10-win team that, made waves. So they kind of became a resume booster. But yes, that is kind of my point.
I think for me, I'm familiar with Casey Keeler. I don't know him or anything like that. Don't want to get it twisted, but it's like, I live in Texas. What he did at Sam Houston State is very well known down here. He helped them transition into the FBS. They had multiple high-level winning seasons under him. He accomplished some really big things there at Sam, and him taking the Temple job, when I saw that, especially living down here and knowing what he accomplished at a place like Sam Houston State, my first thought was that's a weird job for him to take. But then my second thought was that's kind of a killer hire for Temple. And you mentioned it. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Are they playing the best of competition? No. Are they in a level of point differential that's pretty outstanding? Yeah. Is their quarterback rolling right now a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they're in a position to where they can now buy into the idea they can go out and compete at a level not seen at Temple before. And I subscribe to that theory as well. I think for me going into this game, this Temple team is very different because of Coach Keeler and not just the new approach and schematics that place is running, the players, but also the mentality and the competitiveness. Totally different team than Oklahoma saw last year in the 51-3 beatdown. Totally different group. I think if you're Oklahoma, what you have to be excited about is this is setting up for a very competitive environment in a game where it probably shouldn't be. And you welcome that because now you're forcing your players to go into this game taking it as seriously as the coaching staff probably is. You know what I mean? And there's going to be a level of intensity on that field that you love in a setting like this. I think it allows OU to get the most out of its players. And don't get me wrong, like this game does have closer than it should be ability, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I think kind of what you're talking about, some of the stuff that has gone on throughout the week that I didn't have on the bingo card, has suddenly made this game far more intriguing than it was seen as even a couple of weeks ago. I think you welcome that if you're Oklahoma. I think you lean into that if you're OU. And if this becomes an intense battle out in Philadelphia on Saturday morning, then so what?
Yeah.
So be it. You'll love that if you're Oklahoma.
I mean, BB's kind of got them boys already in the mindset of this is their road dogs, right? He's already put that in there. You heard David Stone say that post practice, they're road dogs, and they got a challenge ahead of them, blah blah blah. He's already instilled that in them. Basically, they already have the mindset of this game's going to be a challenge. Good to hear. I'm glad that is the mindset that all of them are taking. So I can't truly quote unquote complain about that. And I asked that question because when I looked at their schedule, they've got 2 back-to-backs. They got us and then Georgia Tech. And then from there is UTSA, who does not look good, Navy, who does not look good, Charlotte, who does not look good, Tulsa, who don't look good, ECU, who ain't looking good, Army, we'll see with that, Tulane, they're good. Then North Texas, who has been possibly. Point being, they could, because North Texas got 2 wins this year, so they could walk in there and finish with like 8-10 wins.
Maybe. I don't want to get too far ahead of the
I'm not getting too froggy on it, but it feels like KC's got them. They look coached well. Let's put it that way. You said, what he did at Sam Houston, everyone knows. I looked at the portal. He brought some kids I brought a couple from Sam Houston, but he brought in 21 transfers, and it looks like, he's got them playing well together. And Evan Simon was there last year, and he looks like a completely different quarterback. Even though last year he threw for like 2,000 yards, he took over the job from Brock after we kind of destroyed him. The second week, I think it was kind of us. We kind of broke his spirit. Yeah. But Simon's thrown for over 2,000 this past year, so I'm looking at this like, okay. Should this game be close? No. The spread is 21.5. It moved down from 25. It's actually up again.
Really?
It's back to 23.5. Okay. So it opened at 25.5. I saw it at 21 a day or two ago, and now it's back up
at 26.5.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, and now it's dropped.
So, it dropped 5, and now it's back up to 23. So I'm curious. I don't know how this outcome is going to truly go. I don't know if we truly cover the spread, and it's not me saying that because I have doubts about this team. I feel like they're going to take this game serious enough, but I don't feel like they're going to go out there and just destroy them. But then after all that stuff happened yesterday, completely different story. I think they're going to try to go for 50.
The way that I see this game, I was talking about it on our pod today. Basically what I've been saying is like, I'll be honest with you. I don't have a great read of this Temple team right now. I don't know that anybody does. New head coach, new approach, brand new mentality, several new players. Not playing against great competition. Like, it all creates a murky picture.
It does.
But you know that Temple's getting ready to play with a chip on its shoulder.
Yep.
You do, though, know that now Oklahoma is anticipating that and also ready to play with a level of intensity itself, and I think that's important. I could see this game being close early as everyone gets settled in. Temple tries to throw a couple of hooks, maybe catch Oklahoma on its heels a little bit in the first half. But in my opinion, especially now that we know Oklahoma's coordinators and players are all accounting for Temple as a team and as a mentality, I feel like OU eventually will be able to separate as long as they back up what they're kind of talking about and bring to the table.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, separate now is 21.5. I mean, so let's quickly talk about like keys. Like, how do they get there? Or what do you want to see from them? Can I give you my number one? Okay, go ahead.
No. You go ahead. Go ahead. I want yours.
Okay, I'll start it off because I don't know if you and Coop have already talked about this game. It's been a crazy week, obviously. My number one thing going into this game, if I'm Oklahoma, knowing the competitive and intense atmosphere I'm getting ready to step into, knowing that Oklahoma's probably going to want to, if it can, rest a couple of guys who have been banged up early on, this screams an environment to me where anyone on that roster that Oklahoma feels like at some point this season is going to have to play and play at a ones caliber level, get them in and make them play in this game.
Yep.
Because not only can you do that and still get a win, this game will feel like a competitive environment that will better them moving forward. And that's someone like maybe a Ryan Foje, a Logan Howland, a PJ Adebawore, who I thought had some nice moments against Michigan. Yep. Maybe a Danny Okoye, get that guy in there, get him going, some of these other players. The number one guy for me, if Jaden Ott is healthy and ready to play, I think if you're Oklahoma going into this game, hey, man, let's go. There's no better time to get going than right now with the SEC opener on the horizon. And this is kind of what I was hinting at earlier.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing, is Oklahoma going to have to run John Mateer 19 times to go win games? The answer to that should be no, and the answer to that should be Jaden Ott.
Yep.
Because you invested in him to be that answer.
Right.
So when is that answer going to be finalized? In my opinion, there's no better environment to get him going than this weekend.
This is the one.
Now, if you tell me he's still banged up, if you tell me he's not ready yet, fine. I totally understand. But even if he's close to 100%, the guy I'm keeping my eye on this weekend specifically is Jaden Ott, because if they can get him going in this game, I think it'll be better for him, and I think it'll be better for Oklahoma with Auburn on the horizon.
And no, you're spot on there. When me and Coop talked about it on Wednesday night, that was really the consensus for both. It's offensive line and honestly Jaden Ott, just like you said.
Yeah.
Run game needs to be established. If we're not establishing the run game on this team, we may have some long-term issues, even though I feel like this will be a slow ramp on the run, that at some point we're going to get it, similar to what we did eventually against Alabama. Like, as we're maintaining health, we're going to get there. But you're right. This is the one because, and I like the point that you made, because I think this is one that fans need to get and understand and really sink into in their minds. Yes, we should cover this spread. That's a 3-touchdown spread. We should cover it. Temple's not going to go down without a fight. And they've shown it in the way they've played this year. So, yes, this should feel like a very competitive game, which means, just like you said, which it's perfectly articulated, I want to see what you look like in an intense game. Now is your time to show me that you're ready. Mm-hmm. If you can't do this against Temple, if you can't be in the right spots, understand the right calls, be prepared for changes, change your direction based upon the circumstance of what the offense is providing you. When you see them adjust, if you can't adjust, you're not ready to play when we do SEC play. You can do it. If you do it in this game, it should be good. Because Kent State's not. I'm sorry, Kent State is not going to be the game where you get any of this. Not only is it at home, Kent State is awful this year. They're worse this year than they were before. Like, it's worse than the last time we played them because they don't have Sean Lewis's offense where they can still go super hurry up and still get a ton of yards. They don't have that. They're awful. I went and looked. They're awful. Temple's not. Temple has, as we mentioned before, they've taken care of business against the opponents they were supposed to take care of business against. So, because this game is definitely going to be one of those where it's going to be one of those try hard games for them. They're going to try hard. And if you don't give that back, yeah, you're right. That's an example of, you're not ready to play yet. So yeah, I love that idea of specific players like Ott needs to get some rushing yards. Do I judge him? This game, I won't judge him as harshly as I would a Kent State because, like I said, Temple's defense will actually give you some true effort. But he should be able to find some seams to be able to get at least 50 yards plus. I'm thinking a 3-figure game in this one, but I'll be okay with 50 if they're like, all right, they really hit and bring in another back. Let's get some other backs rotating and, get some stuff going. But no, fair point. Fair point there with that. This is a game where certain players we want to see. You just got to get a glimpse of it in a competitive environment because the last thing that you need is to have question marks about anyone you might potentially have to rely on the biggest stages later down the line. And if it really just means Jaden Ott in the first half gives you 50 yards rushing or maybe makes a play out of the backfield and he gets the gears going and you walk away from that game going, all right, Jaden Ott he's starting to be what he's supposed to be. That's a win. If you get someone like a Ryan Foje in the game or a Logan Howland in the game or one of these offensive linemen where you're like, hey, this guy may have to come in against Tennessee on the road. Let's see what he does against a Temple team that wants to go fight. If he handles himself well, awesome. We're 6, 7, 8 deep now on the offensive line, and we feel good about that. Same stuff with the defense, right? Like, this Temple offense is rolling. They're going to be trying stuff and seeing if they can't muck this game up. Like, let's see if a Devin Jordan is really ready to be that caliber of corner, right? And that's the biggest storyline for me going into this weekend. I love the fact that, again, it breeds a competitive environment for Oklahoma to capitalize on, but you got to go do that. And I think some of these question marks can be answered. Xavier Robinson, are you healthy? Is the hammy good? You ready to go? Hey, we going to see that downhill running game we saw against Bama and Mizzou last year? Because that is a game changer. Hey, if we can rest Torrey Blaylock and these guys in the backfield can pick up that and actually get going, suddenly we're four deep like we're supposed to be, right? I know it sounds crazy, but it's like, all right, what can Will Huggins give me in the passing game? Because we don't want to run Kanik into the ground yet. You threw his way on the interception. Probably a good time to throw him a couple of balls and just see what he's got. Right? He's got. So, same thing with Kent. Right. You saw a little bit, very slight, but hey. Right. Go down the list. Go down the list of players that you're like, this might be a good time to get him in a heated game before the likes of Alabama on the road is in front of this team. Get that player on the field in this game against Temple. Yep, no, I 100% agree with you there. That is the best way to look at this one because, again, it's going to be a competitive one. They're going to fight. They're going to push. So yeah, you want to see Huggins. You want to see some Kent. You want to see some Foje. You want to see some Howland. Shoot, you want to, like I said, you want to be for me on top of Ott. I need to see the expansion of the wide receiver room. Yeah, give me on Kearney. I need to see some Kearney. If you plan on redshirting him, this is game number 2. Play him here, play him, and then don't play him again until later in the season. Give him the last 2 games of the season if you have to. That way you can preserve that. But this is a good one to let us see if he's there yet. Give me some Elijah Thomas. You saw him on specials, but you didn't see him in actual offense. Give me some of him on if he's out there and he can make some ridiculous plays. Jermichael Carter, same thing. You haven't got much out of him yet. I didn't expect you to get much out of him because he came so late, but at the same time. Or here's one for you. Now, I know this is very much a shot in the dark as we prepare to wrap up. Giovanni Gibson. I've seen him in pads, 2 games in a row, full pads. He looks huge. I know you need to get him in game shape, but this isn't a bad game to go ahead and give him an opportunity to get some run. If he is closer to 100% as you're saying he is. Yeah, I agree with you there, but I also am not going to blame them one bit for shelving him and being like, hey, man,
let's just get you in the Auburn game. Like, let's go beat Auburn if that's going to be your debut. Kind of like Ivan Carry-On.
Yeah, Carry On. Give me some Carry On. I would love it. I mean, with Giovanni, to me, if there's a game you need to play, it would probably be Auburn, or you play him Kent State in preparation for Texas. That's how good of a talent Giovanni is, and we've heard nothing but greatness on him. So, yeah, you do that. But, yeah, Carry On. Give me some giant wide receiver action. Let's see what that looks like. Can we get all the tall dudes playing at the same time? Him and Huggins together at the same time would be very fascinating now I'm thinking about it. It's two big old receivers, two big old dudes, right? 6'6", 6'7", just like, can we... Point being, I really want to see what this wide receiver depth looks like. We still even got other young dudes. You got Rajan, you got KJ Daniels. I don't know what's going on with them. They're both speedsters. What are we doing with those guys? Like, I think the rotations at wide receiver, and in this game, I don't know if you... The question's been asked. I don't know if you play Michael Hawkins. BV mentioned something about him, about the not burning his shirt. It sounds like the goal is to redshirt him, which is smart.
Yes.
We get him 3 more years. Neubauer, you go ahead and throw Witt out there? Let him sling it around?
I would.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I would. I mean, in my opinion, the Witt Neubauer games were always going to be Temple, Kent State.
Yeah. Yeah, you get John Mateer first half, let him throw up a whole bunch of stupid numbers, and then you bring in Witt.
Because you hear good stuff about Witt in fall camp, and you know they brought him in to help Michael Hawkins preserve his red shirt. I mean, they even also brought in Gavin Frakes before he left, which was a weird sequence. But it's like Oklahoma showed you they really want to preserve Michael Hawkins' red shirt. And Witt Neubauer was a guy that, as a young guy, helped lead Mercer to the FCS playoff. So, you know he can throw it.
I watched him in that Alabama game. He looked good.
He can.
You just could tell that they didn't have the horses.
Yeah, I think Witt would be a guy that for me would come into this game and actually play decently well if you're in a position to let him do so. But that would also allow you, in my opinion, which is a wrinkle to this season, to stash a Michael Hawkins run game package for later in SEC play if you want to have that as part of your repertoire. Because it's also important to remind folks out there, you know, the bowl game or whatever else, like that doesn't count. It's 4 games in the regular season. So if you're going to make that a layer to this offense, don't want to play Michael Hawkins in this one.
You got 2 road games, perfect ones. You got Tennessee and Alabama back-to-back. Then you've got Missouri, then LSU. Probably where you want to put him in those 4 games. You probably play Michael Hawkins. You throw him out there. Yeah. That would be a pain in their tail if you really think about it. Now, granted, Auburn probably is still terrified of him. You just can't use him in that game, unfortunately. No. Score prediction for this game. What's your score prediction for this Temple game?
I have no idea. Everything we just talked about sets it up to where I have no clue. I said 42-7 on our pod, and I hated it because my whole thing was like, basically what I'm trying to say is, again, I hated that score prediction, so I'm going to change it here on this show to make myself feel better. What I'm trying to say is, I don't know what the final score is going to be, but I have Oklahoma covering the 21 to 23.5 point spread. So give me like 38-10, 35-10. I feel like maybe it's a little bit of a dogfight early, but again, this Oklahoma team should, from a talent and mentality perspective, be able to eventually separate a little bit. So hopefully, I know I'm not doing a very good job, like with the actual score prediction of vocalizing my thoughts. I have Oklahoma winning and covering this weekend.
That's what's most important. Weather-wise, it'll be 75 degrees, partially cloudy, so it'll be nice up there this weekend. So if those that are going to Philadelphia, please enjoy. Unfortunately, the Eagles are not playing on Sunday. They're playing the Chiefs, in which, you know, we kind of joked about this. I'm sorry, Temple people, but they play the Eagles. The Eagles play the Chiefs on Sunday, so they probably won't be talking about this game, so you'll be okay with it. I'm in the boat with you. After all the stuff that's transpired and some of the venom going, I think Oklahoma tries to hang half a hundy on them. I think they go up to 50 in this game. I think it goes back to last year's score, 50-ish 50-3. I think their goal is no touchdowns, in which I think Simon's good enough to do it, but I think they try to go for 50 in this one again. We ain't got no turnover so far this year, really. So this may be the game where they finally figure out how to start ripping the ball away. So, all right. We'll go with that. I'm going to go with the 50-3, not 51, because I don't know if we get a safety, but I'll go 50-3. But Collin, thank you once again. CK, go check them out. 247 Sooners Illustrated. It's always got the recruiting report on Thursday. Chef's kiss. Go watch that. There's a lot of stuff to break down from that game, man. I appreciate you coming and talking ball with me again.
Always. The CK and J show, there seems to be momentum behind it.
There
seems to be buy-in, which I doubted because I have no business being on a show like this with a star of this caliber.
Lies on the internet. Dog, please, come on now. We know that you are the star in the recruiting trail, but the good thing is you are ambidextrous. You can talk recruiting and ball. Not too many people can do that.
I like football. I like football a lot, and I watch
He's
lot
a junkie.
of football. Yeah,
he is a junkie. So, all right, well, we'll have you back again. Auburn's coming up, so we'll talk pre-Auburn. Hit the like, subscribe, bell notification. Go check out Sooners Illustrated. Show some love, and we'll talk.
If you're listening to this pod and you go to SoonersIllustrated.com and you use the promo code SoonersPod60, 60% off your VIP membership.
SoonersPod60. I will have that in the description below. Click on it. Take advantage of it. Go show up some love. We'll talk soon. Peace.